वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विता तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्या विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानं भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेन तश्च्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रता भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्य यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपारतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मना यत् करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धने संन्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत्सु दुराचारो भजते माम् अनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सा क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्ता प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थ व्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युपापयोनः स्त्रियो वैश्यस्तथा शूद्रस्तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्या भक्तराजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यम् असुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे राजविद्याराजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः Hari Om. All right, thank you everyone for reading along. And now let's start with verse 1 and read through the translations. So we have about 15, 16 people on the call. I was thinking each of us can do 2 if everyone's interested. But for now, we'll start with order. Okay, since I see not everyone has raised their hand, why don't we all read 3? So Parth, go ahead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be revealed of the miseries of material existence. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is ever joyfully performed. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of enemies, they return to the path of death in this material world. By me in my
Yeah, Nitai, you can go next.
By me in my unmanifested unmanifested form. The entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, where myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency,
The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral.
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and all non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated.
O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, diverse in many and in the universal form. But it is I who am the ritual. I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire. I'm the butter and the fire and the offering. I'm the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I'm also the Rig and Sam and Yajurvedas. I'm the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I'm the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed.
O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality. I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy good godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas, achieve only repeated birth and death.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. I am the only enjoyer and the master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. And those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
In this auspicious way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. You will, with your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone, but I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, but is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. How much more is this so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings? Therefore, having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
All right. Thank you everyone for reading. Thank you for Anupani for leading that shlokas and everyone else for reading the translations. Now we will let me stop sharing. Now we'll go into the second part of our program. We'll do a little short discussion just before we get into our reading for Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrita. And that's the topic is basically what would you think of if you had heard the word or the name Srila Prabhupada? Like what do you think of immediately in any interactions with devotees or within ISKCON, you know? So does anyone have any ideas or any thoughts that they would like to share? Yes, Vivan.
So the first thing that I thought of when he said Prabhupada is I thought of like how Prabhupada like took so much pains to like to help other people like know who Krishna is, connect them towards the holy name and spread the holy name more. And like he suffered 2 heart attacks when coming to the United States and stuff like that. And also, I also remembered like his books because Prabhupada took a lot of effort to write all those books for us, and a lot of like important information is in the books.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vivan. Yeah, I think a lot of that also comes to mind when I think of Srila Prabhupada or hear the word or the name. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Yes, Parth?
So when I hear Prabhupada's name, I think about how does how he did it first of all, and I also think about like it's for us. Krishna is coming in another personality in a human form to bring us all back home. And then with Prabhupada, I'm thinking all his books are amazing. Wow, it's coming straight from Krishna.
Wow, that's a really insightful reflection. Thank you. That was nice. Oh, we have more hands. Arav.
Hare Krishna. When I think of Prabhupada, it's automatically to think of his books, like we said. Also, the way he went to every single country and or many countries, and he gathered up devotees from everywhere. He was able to relate to everybody. He was able to get everybody to love him too. People were joining the movement because they love Prabhupada so much. And Prabhupada's guru was also called Srila Prabhupada at the time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami Prabhupada. He was also one of a great a great preacher and a great sadhu and sannyasi in the 1930s.
Thank you, Arav. Yeah, I think we have a lot of scholars here who are fond of Srila Prabhupada's books, which is good news. So, yeah, thank you. Ishika?
I think what me and a lot of like non-devotees, the first thing they think of when they hear Srila Prabhupada is just like ISKCON. And I think that's very important because at such an old age, Srila Prabhupada, like Ara was saying, he was able to go around the world and, establish these temples in places we wouldn't even think of. Like, like in Hawaii, you wouldn't think there'd be an ISKCON temple, but there is. So I think that's really important.
That's great. That's a good perspective. I think, yeah, for, as you said, with people who aren't familiar with ISKCON, that's probably the first thing I think that they would think of. Thank you. Dr. Haridas.
So I was thinking like one thing was Prabhupada was very selfless. So like for example, Shritakirti Prabhu used to be servant at one point of time. So he wrote a book about traveling with Prabhupada, and in that book they also Prabhuji also included that. So one time it was very cold, and Prabhuji used to travel very less. I mean, like he used to take very less things with him while traveling. So Prabhupada would see this, and then he would say, "Oh, are you very cold? Should I give you a sweater? Should I give you socks?" Like that. He used to ask. So we can see how selfless Prabhupada is. And also, he used to be very humble. Like, I remember at one point, like, someone came, I forgot exactly what happened. So, they, the GBC passed a proposal that from now on, the secretaries of Prabhupada should keep on changing. It should not be one forever. So Prabhupada, he could have done whatever he wanted, but instead he just agreed to it, and he did not try to uh, change anything. And also, there were many people who told Prabhupada that when you go to the US at that time, they only give you, there's only meat over there, so you'll have to eat only bread and potato. But Prabhupada thought, okay, that is fine. Bread and potato is okay. I'll still go and preach about Krishna. So Prabhupada preached, and then after that, so many disciples he got, and every day he was getting like Indian meals, and he was thinking that, see, Krishna has provided so much for me. So Prabhupada always saw everything on a spiritual level, and he was always humble and selfless.
What a nice set of pastimes. I think that was a really nice reflection that you had just because of how these pastimes and events, like what they say about him. I liked the way you described his, really nice qualities that we all aspire to have as devotees. So thank you so much for that, Haridas. Shriyan?
When I think of Prabhupada, I normally think about like his sacrifices and his straightforward goal to bhakti. Like when his wife sold I'm not sure if it was Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. It was one of them. I'm not sure which one. For some tea biscuits, he decided that he had to like move on for with his spiritual life, and then he became a sannyasi after that. And then he went to America, and then like Vivon said, he had suffered 2 heart attacks. He went on a cargo ship, and then it was like a really, really difficult journey, but he did it all for us. He did it all for like all of his suffering was all for us. So yeah, that's what I think of when I think of that's what I think of when I think of Prabhupada.
Nice. That's yeah, I think it was a Srimad Bhagavatam that his wife had sold in exchange for tea or two biscuits. So it just so shows his devotion for Srimad Bhagavatam and for spreading the holy name and the Krishna conscious movement at that time. That was his lingering on his mind. So, and we'll be reading about that too. So, really nice. Sanvi?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. When I think of Prabhupada, I think of ISKCON, like Ishika was saying. I think of all the temples he's established. Like there's a temple, like we don't like a country that we don't even know that exists, but there's a temple there. Like it's like so amazing that how he was at the age of like 70, he came to Atlanta and built a temple here.
Yeah, Atlanta Temple is a special one. So many, yeah, as you said, so many different countries that we haven't even heard of or don't hear of normally. Thank you. Anapayini?
For me, one word that really sticks out about Prabhupada is how open-minded he was. And like 2 examples that come up for me are like when he moved here, he wasn't able to find like roommates or didn't have easy access to roommates that were also vegetarian and following similar principles. Though he was so focused on the bigger picture and the larger mission of preaching that he accommodated that, which I'm guessing must have been really difficult. And another example is even with George Harrison, the way he um, engaged him super well, like a big like rock star at the time. I was just appreciating how open-minded he is and how he uses everything in Krishna service and is focusing on the bigger picture.
Yeah. I think like just because everyone else has mentioned sort of examples between his earlier life and his later life after, taking up sannyas and coming to America, I think those kind of examples are like the really special ones that describe how much he put or how much effort he put into expanding the movement once he set it up, which is I really like or being able to study that part of his life and take inspiration from it. Thank you. Myri?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Whenever I think of Srila Prabhupada, I think about like how Mataji said, I think about how he was so open-minded, and whenever he met so many people, even though they weren't devotees and they were like hippies, he still persevered. And I think about even though he had so many struggles, Krishna personally intervened to help his devotee.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes about how Krishna takes care of his devotees, right? So, and this is what Prabhupada not only showed by example, but taught as well. And I think all his, disciples who have also taken up the mission of expanding ISKCON, expanding Krishna consciousness everywhere, we see how much in the modern world, even though so many more conditions are unfavorable for this expansion, somehow it's happened and Krishna's facilitated that because of their effort as well. So yeah, thank you. Oh, Ivan put something in the chat. Is one of the verses that we read today. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Haribol. Nice connection there, Vivan. Yeah, that totally connects to what who just said it. Mayuri just said. That was a really nice point, and I like that connection, Vivan. So if I think that yeah, we've heard from a lot of people. So I think what better time now or than now to start on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. I'll hand it over to Anapayani and get the screen share up. All right. All right. We'll have some volunteers read, and I think we're starting right from here. So we can do 3 paragraphs per person, or 4 if they're small, but yeah, just you can decide if it's big or small. But we have some volunteers in the chat, and all right, Bhakti Nitai, you want to get started?
Okay. While the professed followers of Vedic culture were being baffled in their audience, modern westernized Indians were rejecting Vedic culture as backwards and irrelevant. There was Prime Minister Nehru, who wasn't at all spiritually inclined. He was for modernization and for what Abba called made in London ideas. At least Mahatma Gandhi, although he had never responded to Abba's letters, had been spiritually inclined, but not so his follower Pandit Nehru. Still, out of concern for the way India's leaders were rejecting their country's spiritual heritage, Abba decided to write Pandit Nehru. Although in Bombay, Abba was practically homeless. In August of 1958, he boldly wrote the Prime Minister, expressing his conviction that India's spiritual culture must not only be revived at home but also be distributed to the West. He reminded Pandit Nehru that from ancient Greece down to the atomic age, the Western world had seen only materialism and had therefore never known peace. If Nehru were to continue following the path of materialism, the only result would be strife and war. Therefore, India may not waste her time imitating the Western way of life. You had admitted it that the position of Indian culture is of high order, but at the same time you want to bring in material prosperity by scientific advancement of knowledge. But what is that scientific knowledge? Spiritualism is also advanced scientific knowledge. Material advancement of scientific knowledge cannot give even material prosperity to people in general. Do you think that horseless carriage or telephonic or radio communication or any other such ephemeral facilities of life can bring in material prosperity? No, it can not. Material prosperity means that people must have sufficient to eat or maintain the body very soundly. Do you think that your different plans have brought in the material prosperity or that modern Western civilization can bring in that prosperity. Even they are given that facility, the unrest will continue to go on till there is spiritual satisfaction of life. That is secret. That is the secret of peace.
Thank you, Nitai. Mayuri?
Even without having been to the West, Abba expressed his conviction that the Americans and even the Russians were hankering for spiritual realization. They could not have become satisfied merely with material advancement. Pandit Nehru, therefore, should help his friends in the West by offering them spiritual knowledge from India. Poverty means poverty of knowledge. Prime Minister Chanakya used to live in a thatched cottage, but he was the dictator of India during the time of Chandragupta. Mahatma Gandhi voluntarily accepted the way of living of the so called poor man and was the dictator of Indian destiny. But was he poverty stricken? He was proud of his spiritual knowledge. Therefore, spiritual knowledge makes the man really rich makes a man really rich man and not the radio set or the motor car, etc. Back in the 1930s, the Nehru family had brought their medicines from Abai's Prayag pharmacy, and Abai now appealed to Pandit Nehru as an old friend from Allahabad. Just as Abai had requested Mahatma Gandhi, he requested Nehru to leave his political responsibilities and as a popular gentleman of the world, engage the rest of your life in this organized spiritual movement to make a real adjustment of Western material science combined with Indian way of spiritual realization. As with his letter to Gandhi, his letter to Nehru went unanswered.
Among Abhay's former Bombay contacts with Mr. Harbanza, a landlord who had once assured Abhay that he would provide him lodging whenever he needed. In the summer of 1958, Abhay went to call on Mr. Harbanza, only to find that he had gone to the west. When Abhay learned that Mr. Harbanza was traveling not only on business but on a cultural mission, his imagination seized on the idea of an Indian on a cultural mission in the West. He wrote to Mr. Harbansal asking for a place to stay, but also presented his own cultural mission. Abhay knew that many Westerners respected Indian culture. He had heard from his German godbrother that although Indians who went to the West, especially to Germany, were well received, they were sometimes tested on their knowledge of Indian culture. So Abhay advised Mr. Harbansa to teach the real conclusion of Indian culture as he traveled. I think that people need this Indian message in their hour of necessity when the atomic bomb is hovering over the head of a human society. Please therefore begin activities for benefit of all people in the foreign countries since you have gone there. Clearly, Abhay would have liked to gone himself.
Abhay also reminded Mr. Harmasla of his promise to provide him with an apartment. I am passing my days in Bombay in great inconvenience for want of suitable residential place, but the letter never caught up with the touring Mr. Harmasla. Wanting to go to the west as soon as possible, Abhay visited one of his godbrothers in Bombay, Kripa Sindhu, and asked him to help. Kripa Sindhu. He came to my house and asked me to help him in going to America. He gave me some back to Godheads, which he said I could show to people to ask for help on his behalf. I tried to do something in this regard. I introduced Abhay Babu to one man, a big industrialist, Hemraj Khandalwala. 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 I went also. The three of us sat down, and I told the man how Abhay wanted to go to the West, and how he was a good devotee, and was writing and doing so many things. But somehow or other, the man did not help. How many paragraphs does each person read?
We need three.
Two?
Three.
Okay, three. Kripa Sindhu told Abe of how the Gaudiya Math in Bombay had sometimes been assisted by a pious business magnate, Miss Sumati Murad, head of Sachinand Steamship Lines. Abe tried to see her, but was unable. He did, however, see one of Miss Murad's employee, a deputed a deputy a deputy manager for the Kinda Company, who heard him out and, to Abe's surprise, responded generously. Considering Abe a genuine sadhu, the Sachin, the agent offered him a 50% concession on a voyage from India to the US. He even put it in writing. Abe immediately began arranging for his passport and visa, but he could not raise even the half fare. Back in 1956 in Delhi, he had been struggling and homeless, and now he considered his last 2 years of traveling out of Vrindavan. He felt that his position hadn't really improved. Perhaps Krishna didn't want him to succeed in this way. But one positive thing he had gained: determination to go to the West and preach. There he would surely meet with success. Alone and poor, Abhay returned to Vrindavan. He was 62, but he wasn't thinking of retiring. More than ever, his mood was reflective and renounced. Because few people knew him, and because he wanted to write, he kept to himself.
He enjoyed deep peace as a resident of Vrindavan. Outside his window, the sacred Yamuna flowed by in a peaceful panorama for his private audience. The Keshighat neighborhood was quiet, though in the pre-dawn could hear a few devotees bathing and chanting. When the moon was full, the river seemed like a coolly resplendent jewel, and in the morning the sun would appear like a red smudge, a fire burning through the opaque wall, and at last bursting forth and clearing the entire sky, until in the hot blaze of noon, while the room would be in shadows, Abhay would see from his window a shimmering sun high in the sky and glittering across the silver sheet of the gentle river. Without so much as leaving his room, from his doorway, he could see hundreds of temples clustered together for miles in the friendly town of Vrindavan. The various punctual kirtans and bell ringings in the temple, the spontaneous songs to Lord Krishna in numerous homes and in the streets rose and filled the air with devotion. On the veranda, Abhay could chant japa and there would be no interruption. He enjoyed a simple, almost carefree life of minimized physical wants. A few hours of rest at night, a little prasadam at noon, the simplest clothing. And he did not have to flatter anyone, support anyone, or manage anyone's life. His mind and intelligence were free and dwelt constantly on his service to his spiritual master. He saw his present circumstances as a preparation for a greater task before him. Despite his advanced age, he felt like that he had barely begun his work. Yet he felt confident. He had a vision of a world association of devotees. It was not an idle dream, although he was not certain how it would all come about. But he knew his duty. For the present, he would go on describing his vision, the vision of his predecessor's spiritual masters, in his articles and books. But as soon as he should go to the West, but as soon as possible, he should go to the West. Westerners, he had concluded, were not satisfied with materially comfortable life, devoid of spiritual understanding. More than his fellow Indians, they would be open to the message of the absolute truth. He knew he should go, and he would if Krishna desired. Abhay lived frugally in Vrindavan, keeping exact account of every expenditure and every receipt. He carefully kept a ledger, just as if he was running a substantial business, even though his purchases were only a little milk, a few vegetables, charcoal for cooking, bus rides, and his major expenditure postage.
Abhay composed the Bengali poem Vrindavan Bhajan. Its opening stanzas were especially self-reflective and personal. I'm sitting alone in Vrindavan Dham in this mood. I'm getting many realizations. I have my wife, sons, daughters, grandsons, everything, but I have no money, so they are a fruitless glory. Krishna has shown me the naked form of material nature. By his strength, it has all become tasteless to me today. Yasyaham anugrami harisya tadhanam sanai. I gradually take away all the wealth of those upon whom I am merciful. How was I able to understand this mercy of the All-Merciful? Everyone has abandoned me, seeing me penniless, wives, relatives, friends, brothers, everyone. This is misery, but it gives me a laugh. I sit alone and laugh. In this Maya samsar, whom do I really love? Where have my loving father and mother gone now? And where are all my elders who were my own folk? Who will give me news of them? Tell me who. All that is left of this family life is a list of names. As froth on the seawater mixes again in the sea, Maya Samsara's play is just like that. No one is mother or father or personal relative, just like the sea foam. They remain but a short time. Just as the froth on seawater mixes again in the sea, the body made of 5 elements meets with destruction. How many bodies does the embodied soul take in this way? Its relatives are all related merely to the temporal body, but everyone is your relative brother on the spiritual platform. This relationship is not tinged with the smell of Maya. The Supreme Lord is the soul of everyone. In relation to him, everyone in the universe is the same. All your relatives, brother, all the billions of jivas contain in a relation to Krishna, they are all in harmony. Forgetting Krishna, the jiva desires sense gratification, and as a result, he is firmly grasped by Maya.
On an October visit to Delhi, Abhay received a donation from Kaviraj Baidyanath Sirkar, who used to be who to be used for printing 1,000 copies of Back to Godhead. Abhay promptly produced an October 20th issue of Back to Godhead with the donor's name on the front page. It was the first issue in 2 years. Another donor, Mr. Subodh Kumar Kapoor, and Ramalal Kapoor and Sons, followed Mr. Sirkar's example and donated 1,000 copies for the November 20 issue. The front page article in the November issue was Truth and Beauty, an editorial in the Times of India speculating on whether truth and beauty were compatible, and had opined that truth was not always beautiful, but often ugly and unpleasant. Abhay disagreed. Truth is so beautiful that many sages, saints, and devotees have left everything for the sake of truth. But we are habituated to love untruth and from time immemorial in the name of truth. Abhay agreed. However, that mundane truth and beauty were incompatible. Not only was mundane truth not beautiful, it was not truth, and mundane beauty was not real beauty. To explain, Abhay told a story. Once a man fell in love with a beautiful girl who tried to resist the man's advances. When he persisted, she requested that he wait for 7 days, after which she was after which she accepted. During the next um 7 days, the girl took a strong purgative and laxative and repeatedly passed stool and vomited. She stored the refuse in buckets. Thus, the so-called beautiful girl became lean, thin like a skeleton, and turned blackish in complexion. The beautiful eyeballs were pushed into sockets of the skull. Um, m- the man appeared on the scene, well dressed and well behaved. As for the um waiting girl, who was depressed in appearance about and asked the waiting girl, who was depressed in appearance, about the beautiful girl who had called him here. The man could not recognize the same beautiful girl who he was asking for. The same girl, however, was in a pitiable condition. The foolish man, in spite of repeated assertion, could not recognize her. It was all due to the action of the medicine only. At last the girl told the powerful man all the story of beauty, and told him that she had separated the of her beauty and stored them all in reservoirs. She also told him that he could enjoy the juices he stored in the reservoirs. The mundane poetic or the lunatic man agreed to see the juices of this beauty, and thus he was directed to the store of loose stool and liquid vomit, which were emanating an unbearable bad smell, and thus the whole story of beauty liquid was disclosed to him.
They went to the extra that, like literature, we did not describe the ultimate truth. The beauty of the Supreme Person was no better than stool and vomit, even though it could be presented as poetry and philosophy. In the stranded mortality, Abe explained, mortality is the standard of activity by which the supreme authority is satisfied. The scriptures contain moral codes forbidding unholy sex realizations, animal slaughter, intoxication, and gambling. Abe attributed Mahatma Gandhi's success as a public leader to his observation of these moral principles. Abe also praised the Vedic system of marriage. After the attainment of puberty, a woman wants a male, and if she is not married within that time and allowed to mix up with boys, it is quite natural that there is every chance of a fall down either by a boy or a girl. Despite the changing in social conditions, Abe argued, you cannot indulge in unholy connection with the opposite sex just because the social conditions have changed. Because unholy connection with women is the beginning of our immortality. In Scholars Duet, Abe presented a critical review of Dr. Radhakrishna's edition of Bhagavad Gita, citing specifically the third, fourth verses of the ninth chapter, wherein Lord Krishna declares that one should always think of him and become his devotee. Dr. Radhakrishna had commented, it is not personal Krishna to whom we have to give up ourselves utterly, but the unborn, beginningless, eternal, who speaks through Krishna. Although the obvious meaning of Bhagavad Gita was that one should surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Person, impersonalists like Dr. Radha Krishna obscured the direct message with their word judgerly.
On the disciplines day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Abhay keenly felt separation from his spiritual master. He perfectly understood that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's instructions were more important than his physical presence, and that, in fact, the spiritual master was present within his instructions. In this way, Abhay had always been with his spiritual master. Yet, on this annual day, Abhay could not help but feeling lost. He remembered how in 1932 he had been a grahastha and a new disciple. At that time, he had not been free to do as much service as now. Yet it had been in those years that he had been able to see his spiritual master, offer obeisances before him, eat the remnants of his prasadam, walk beside him, hear his voice, receive his personal glance. Abhay thought of their meetings together. How powerful had been Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's mission. His presses had been running all day and night, printing magazines, books, and daily Nadia Prakasha. And Europe had been a promising new preaching field. With Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the helm, the Gaudiya Mutt had entered into a battle against Maya's forces, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had made all his disciples unafraid. Abhay had always been eager to serve his spiritual master, to serve within the Gaudiya Mutt.
within its headquarters in Calcutta. But exactly how he would serve had never been clear to him until his last letter from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Abhay looked back on the more Abhay looked back on the more than 20 years since his spiritual master's disappearance. The Gaudiya Mutt been un- had been undone by its leaders, and everyone else had scattered like leaves in a storm. It was an unspeakable loss, and it was an old story. How the big sannyasis had disregarded their spiritual master's instructions and encouraged and disputed mm, itil- il- instigated violent party factions, false leaders claiming to be world acharyas, and which party had been right. No, both had been wrong, all wrong, because the Gaudiya Mutt had disintegrated. Now there were dozens of little mutts, and no preaching. No real preaching as before, when he, Simha Guru, had cast fear into those Mayavadis, had led an army of young, powerful preachers to march throughout India and the world, and the greatest sufferers of the Gaudiya Mutt's dissolution were the people, the non-devotees, who had little to no hope of being delivered from the batterings of Maya. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had begun a spiritual revolution, but that revolution had now been overthrown by Maya. The scattered particles of the Gaudiya Mutt had settled quietly into self-satisfied, insular, almost impotent units, and it was the people in general who suffered.
Ab- Abhay groped after memories of his spiritual master. He felt secure that in that his own relationship with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was intact, continuing. Yet he felt helpless. He was diligently pursuing his spiritual master's order to preach in English, yet without his spiritual master's physical presence, he felt small and very much alone. At times like this, he questioned the wisdom of having left his family and business. Lamenting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's absence and the fall of Gaudiya Mutt, he composed a Bengali poem, Viraha Ashtaka. Should I read the poem also?
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada, you are always compassionate towards the suffering Jiva souls. On this occasion of your separation, I see only dejection. An unlimited ocean of mercy, cutting an illusion, Nityananda distributed an ocean of flood of love of Godhead. The Jati Gosai stopped the stream, but coming yourself, Lord, you revealed this illusion. So once again, everyone was immersed in the flood of love, even one so fallen, insignificant, and sinful as I. On the strength of Sri Chaitanya's order, you sent all of your servants door to door as gurus. There was preaching everywhere, from the sea to the Himalayas. Now, in your absence, everything is darkness. O Srila Prabhupada, you are always compassionate towards the suffering Jiva souls. On this occasion of your separation, I see only dejection. In the same way that Advaita Prabhu brought Lord Gora, so did Bhaktivinoda pray. His enthusiasm brought you. On the strength of his enthusiasm, you came and made everyone understand that India is a holy land. One who takes his birth in the land of Bharat must make his life perfect and then preach to others. This Mahamantra message you preached everywhere. Now, in your absence, O Lord, everything is darkness. Your ocean of compassion has again been stopped. This spear of great misery has cut through my heart. Without Lord Chaitanya's message, there is just confusion. Seeing this, all the Vaishnavas feel pangs of separation. The conditioned souls are all in darkness once again. They are searching for peace but are dying in an ocean of anxiety. O Srila Prabhupada, you are always compassionate toward the suffering Jiva souls. On this occasion of your separation, I see only dejection.
Abhay's was a dark view. The golden era of preaching that had flourished in the days of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was no longer. By the influence of Maya, Abhay wrote, now everything is darkness. All devotional instructions have been destroyed. Now everything has been reversed. Meditating on that great personality possessed of the divine power to save the entire world, Abhay expressed his feelings of weakness and helplessness. Because of those not fixed in devotional service, many branches have spread all over. Your conclusive message did not touch the ear. Where will I get the strength for a Sankirtan movement? How could he, a tiny spiritual child, survive without his spiritual father? Now, who could save the world, which was so much more oppressed than ever before? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had said that a dead man could not preach. Only one with life could preach. As long as Abhay and others could deeply regret the Gaudiya Math's failure, there was still life and still hope. If everyone obtained this right and went out and made disciples, then the suffering souls in the world could be saved. It was useless to cry over what his godbrothers had done, yet in seeing and resenting it, Abhay found within the pain of what might have been a continuing spark of what still might be. Abhay sent his poem and Vrindavan Bhajana to Keshav Maharaj, who published them in the Gaudiya Patrika. One night, Abhay had a striking dream, the same dream that he had several times before. During his days as a householder, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati appeared, just as Abhay had known him, the tall, scholarly sannyasi, coming directly from the spiritual world, from Krishna's personal entourage. He called to Abhay and indicated that he should follow. Repeatedly, he called and motioned. He was asking Abhay to take sannyasa. Come, he urged, become a sannyasi. Abhay awoke in a state of wonder. He thought of his instruction as another feature of the original instruction Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had given him at their first meeting in Calcutta. This same instruction that his spiritual master had later solidified in letter, become an English preacher, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout the Western world. Sannyasi was for that end. Sannyas was for that end. Otherwise, why would his spiritual master have asked him to accept it? Abhay reasoned that his spiritual master was saying, "Now take sannyasa, and you will actually be able to accomplish this mission." Formerly, the same way, the time was not right. Abhay deliberated cautiously. By accepting sannyasa, Vaishnava dedicates his body, mind, and words totally to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, renouncing all other engagements. He was doing that already. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had offered him sannyasa to his leading disciples so that they could continue his mission. They hadn't done it. Preaching in the West had proved perilous even for the Gaudiya Math's most recognized sannyasis. How could he, a mere householder, presume he could succeed where the others had failed? He was hesitant. The helpless, incapable feeling he had expressed in his Viraha Ashtaka was there. But now his spiritual master was beckoning him. Over all the other considerations, even over natural humility. Now, although he was elderly and alone, the desire to preach just as his spiritual master had preached remained within him. A fierce thought, sometimes quietly expressed determination.
All right. We'll end there for now because we have made a significant amount of progress through this chapter. And I wanted to see if, since we have quite a bit of people here, Anyone have any reflections, thoughts, anything they liked about it, the chapter? Yes, Parth?
So from the chapter, what really stood out to me was that Prabhupada, like what we read in the end, Prabhupada didn't think he, like, out of everybody in the Gaudiya Math, he was gonna actually be able to do it. Like he said that he's just a mere householder. How can he do the thing? How can he like go to the West and start an entire preaching, start preaching, and all this? And then we can see that wow, like how he is so like he just wants his um, guru's like directions so that he knows what he's gonna be doing, and also he knows what like how he's gonna do it and what is his plan, you know? And then he's also guided by Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. That was, I mean, with Prabhupada's revelation toward that end of the reading that we did there, how he was thinking about, taking sannyas. He hadn't done it before, or he hadn't thought about it before, but now it seemed like the right time, right, for him. So hopefully in the next reading we'll get to see a little bit more progress in that aspect of his story. Anyone else have anything that they liked or learned from the chapter? Manhar.
Hare Krishna, I liked how like we learned about like the struggle that he put into like coming to like USA, like all the hard work that he did in India to like come here.
Thank you, Manhar. Yeah, it's as much as we almost always talk about it, it's never, enough to uh, say like the extent to which Prabhupada worked and put effort in, because no matter how many times you say it, it still feels so appreciable to such a high degree that we can't take it for granted. Arav?
This section also shows how much we should appreciate our guru. Prabhupada was saying, "I wish I could have served him more," almost like that, and he's just wanting to hear instruction from him, and he knows that the instruction is very clear. He should go to the West and he should preach, and just through his guru's word, he brought up this entire movement in the West, which is just amazing because it just shows how much empowerment is within uh, a letter or words from the Guru Maharaj.
Right. If he was able to, if Srila Prabhupada was able to achieve as much as he did from very limited interaction with his Guru Maharaj, which like we've read before, but he had one interaction at one point in the 1920s, and then met him again like 10 years later, and then got initiation. So like just so much more interaction we have compared to what he had with his Guru Maharaj. And I think by that logic, we should be able to achieve so much more. But it's also our drive and the conditions and our motivation on all these things. Uh, yes, Arv,
Just continue. I'll tell you.
no, I think, do you want to finish like your thought or something?
No, it's a different thought.
All right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just given how much interaction Prabhupada had, how little interaction he had, and how much he achieved. It's really nothing short of, extremely amazing and extraordinary. So yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
This also just shows how Krishna puts his greatest devotees through the hardest of struggles because when they come out, they just show how great they are to the whole world. So Krishna is basically saying, "This one, he's my devotee. That's why I'm putting him through all this." Like uh, Sanatan Goswami was tested a lot uh, by going through the forests and getting all his like all diseased, and then Lord Chaitanya finally cured him and showed the world how good he was in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, excellent example. I mean, so many examples, countless examples of the most exalted devotees of Krishna that we read in history, and none of them had it easy, I think, in their respective tasks and missions that they took up in order to spread Krishna consciousness in their time. So yeah, it's always really nice to appreciate and study, especially from the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So today we had a little extended reading, and that was really nice from hearing a lot of, I think, new people. Do we have, I see some new faces. I see Shriyan, he said he was new. Anyone else joining for the first time? Sanvi, Krishna. All right. This is cool. Seeing so many more people from Atlanta lately, it's really nice. I think with a growing population and group of young devotees there. So it's really nice to see that expanding. Krishna, do you want to say anything? Introduce yourself.
Hare Krishna. And this is my first one. I found this very inspiring, and I feel like I should have joined studied before. And I want I'll join more classes.
How did
Hare
you find
Krishna.
out about Youth Jam?
Oh, from one of my friends. He's also here.
Okay, very cool. Sanvi?
Hare Krishna. My name is Sanvi, and UGEM is very, it's like very engaging. It's like made for kids, and like I love the way how like we read, and like we like read Bhagavad Gita and read the translations, and we read Prabhupada Lilamrit, and yeah, now I'm gonna keep on joining.
Yeah, that's all we like to hear. Thank you so much for joining. It's nice to have you. Yes, Shriyan.
Hare Krishna, I really enjoy this class. I really enjoy the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Um, and then it just like it's such like a beautiful atmosphere. And then that's like one thing I really like. And then it's like it's like um it's like very calm and relaxing. Just like hear what how Prabhupada is such a amazing person. Is here like his pastimes. And then I think I really like that.
Yeah, thank you for joining as well. I see you're from San Diego. How'd you find out about Youth Jam?
Um I I knew about it. I knew about Youth Jam for a bit. And then I heard that like Rinda and Mukunda were in Youth Jam, so I decided to give it a try. So uh yeah, so that's how I got into it.
Yeah, Rindan Mukunda, you're also in San Diego?
Were.
We just moved to Seattle like a few months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nice. So many people. I think, are you also joining for the first time or you've been here before?
We've joined before, but there's like kind of been a gap because like so many things. So yeah.
All right. Nice. Who else? I think Manhar. I think I've never seen you before. Have you joined before?
I've been coming for like a few weeks.
Oh, okay, my bad. I wasn't here last week, so I might have missed it. Nice to see everyone though. So in the beginning, I did say that Maharaj might have been joining in a bit, but due to some last minute things he or obligations, he had to stay back for today. So we had this program, and next week we'll be uh, pausing Youth Jam because a lot of people, including Maharaj, will be at Sadhu Sangha, the Kirtan retreat this year. So we'll be pausing next week and we'll send out a little more information about Maharaj will be leading Kirtan at the retreat. And so if you guys are free, you should definitely, if you're not going, you should definitely tune in and we'll send information in through email later this week. So if no one else has anything that they'd like to share, or I don't think I've missed anyone. Hopefully, I haven't missed anyone that's new. But thank you everyone for joining. We'll be here 2 weeks from now, Saturday, 3 p.m. PST, and we'll see you then. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.